Let me kill this sound because it got copyright music. You guys see that? Did y'all? And now she throwing up her hands. She throwing up her hands like she ain't just damn me. Boom. Lead forward and assault Sophie Cunningham, bro. Dirty fucking play there. That was a dirty play. Now, it looked like the referee actually might caught this. It says
the viral footage that just surfaced from the preseason clash between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center has completely shifted the conversation around physical defense in the WNBA, with fans now dissecting moments the broadcast barely acknowledged and spotlighting the raw intensity that unfolded off the ball. At the center of it all, Sophie Cunningham has erupted into the spotlight not just for her scoring impact, but for her relentless, high-energy physical presence that repeatedly created space and disrupted pressure around Caitlin Clark, effectively changing the tempo and tone of possessions in a way that has fans calling it one of the most aggressive defensive statements of the preseason, while veteran star Breanna Stewart and the Liberty found themselves navigating an unexpectedly physical battle that has sparked heated debate about defensive schemes, contact levels, and officiating consistency. Now the league is buzzing, social media is dissecting every angle of the unseen contact, and what was supposed to be a routine preseason showcase has instead turned into a viral flashpoint about toughness, strategy, and the evolving identity of both franchises, as Cunningham's presence continues to redefine the Fever's edge and ignite a wave of reaction that no broadcast highlight package fully captured.
So this is a slow motion version of it. So as you guys can see here, just look at this. Boom, bro. Boom. Just completely look at Breanna Stewart's face. And this is who we got in charge of negotiating the CBAs. Look at this. Like, how do something like this happens always?
Before Sophie Cunningham's intense defensive sequence began drawing attention, viral fan angles from a matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center show a highly debated moment involving Breanna Stewart and Cunningham, where Stewart steps into path as Cunningham works along perimeter, and the resulting screen contact has sparked heated online discussion. In the replayed footage, Stewart establishes position, but the collision that follows is being widely analyzed by fans who argue the angle and body positioning made it look more forceful than a routine off-ball screen, while others see it as standard physical playoff-style basketball that escalated due to momentum and spacing, and immediately after the contact, Stewart gestures toward the officials, appearing to signal that the play was incidental, further fueling debate across social media about intent, legality, and officiating interpretation. The moment has since become part of the larger viral narrative of the game, feeding into the broader spotlight on Cunningham's aggressive defensive presence and the overall physical tone of the matchup, which continues to divide fans as replays circulate and every frame is scrutinized in real time.
Talking about right here. So this was Sophie here. But watch how this girl is hacking Caitlin Clark. Watch this. Caitlin Clark is getting hacked. Watch. Watch. Look at her. Hacking Caitlin Clark all over. Now watch Sophie. Boom. Now, when Sophie did...
In the slow-motion, frame-by-frame breakdown of the possession between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center, the clip involving Breanna Stewart and Sophie Cunningham has become one of the most dissected moments of the game, with analysts and fans split over what the biomechanics actually show. Stewart moves into position near the perimeter as Cunningham navigates through space, and the resulting contact is being interpreted in two very different ways. Some argue the forward momentum and body angle create a screen that looks more forceful than a routine setup, while others maintain it falls within normal high-intensity basketball physicality, especially given playoff style, spacing, and tempo. What stands out in the viral discussion is Cunningham's response. Instead of reacting emotionally, she absorbs the contact, keeps her balance, and immediately resets into defensive transition positioning, which supporters point to as evidence of her composure and toughness in high-pressure moments around Caitlin Clark. At the same time, the broader narrative forming online suggests the Liberty were trying to raise physical pressure to disrupt Indiana's pace, but that interpretation remains heavily debated rather than confirmed, with most breakdowns emphasizing how quickly the game escalated into a physical, possession-by-possession battle, where every screen, bump, and recovery step is now being scrutinized under microscope.
Sophie didn't look like she leaned into her, bro. Let me see. Nope. I don't think she did. I don't think. Oh, and old girl flopped. Look at this damn flop. She threw her arms up and everything. Now, if we go back and look at what happened to Sophie, like people want to say Sophie did the same thing.
When you break down the perimeter possessions between the New York Liberty and the Indiana Fever, especially around Caitlin Clark, the defensive picture becomes clear. Liberty defenders were applying extremely tight, high-pressure coverage, crowding space, riding hip to hip, and forcing Clark to constantly adjust her angles just to initiate the half-court offense, creating a physical, uncomfortable rhythm that blurred the line between standard playoff-level resistance and aggressive perimeter disruption. Within that environment, the narrative that formed online suggests the officials were letting a lot of contact go uncalled, which only intensified the physical tone of the matchup and raised the stakes on every possession. That's exactly where Sophie Cunningham changed the energy of the game, responding not with complaints or hesitation, but with hard, decisive screens and strong off-ball positioning that repeatedly disrupted defensive pursuit angles and gave Clark cleaner movement lanes. Her actions stood out because they were forceful, intentional, and assertive in carving out space, effectively resetting defensive pressure points and forcing the Liberty to navigate through contact rather than around it. In a game already defined by intensity and close coverage, Cunningham's physical presence became a counterweight to perimeter pressure, shifting momentum by making every attempt to crowd Clark far more costly and far less sustainable over the course of possessions.
Look at Sophie. Sophie ain't flopped. She immediately, Breanna Stewart, a big gal. Look, she ain't throw her hands up. See, there's a big difference. Watch this one here. Look, she flopped. That was a half second.
In one of the most viral sequences from the matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center, the play around Caitlin Clark quickly became the center of online debate when Clark drove aggressively toward the lane and a defender rotated in from her blind side, only for Sophie Cunningham to explode into action from the weak side and deliver a hard, well-timed screen that instantly changed the geometry of the possession, rather than a soft or passive pick. Cunningham's contact was decisive and physical, stepping fully into space and momentarily halting the defensive collapse toward Clark, a move many fans described as old-school, high-intensity basketball. In the immediate aftermath, the Liberty defender involved reacted strongly to the collision, falling backward and gesturing toward the officials, which sparked split reactions online. Some viewers saw it as a natural consequence of high-speed contact in a crowded lane, while others interpreted it as an exaggerated response in a heated moment of playoff-style physicality. Either way, the sequence amplified Cunningham's growing reputation as a disruptive, protective presence around Clark and turned a single possession into one of the most replayed and dissected highlights of the game. In a highly circulated sequence from a matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center, social media has been intensely debating two contrasting reactions in the same physical, high-tempo environment. On one end, a moment involving Sophie Cunningham and Breanna Stewart that fans have replayed from multiple angles, and on the other, Cunningham's response later in the game to heavy contact, where she absorbs the impact, stays upright, and immediately re-engages. In play without hesitation, online commentators try to frame these as symbols of toughness versus exaggeration, but the reality in the footage is more nuanced, with both sequences occurring in a fast, physical game where screens, rotations, and collisions often happen at full speed and split-second timing. Around Caitlin Clark, defensive attention from the Liberty was consistently tight, with aggressive positioning and close coverage that forced quick decisions in traffic, and Cunningham's off-ball presence stood out because she repeatedly set firm, well-timed screens that created separation and changed defensive angles, giving Clark more room to operate within the half-court flow. The broader reaction online has elevated Cunningham into a symbolic enforcer narrative, but within the game itself, her impact is better understood as physical, high-effort screen setting and spacing discipline rather than theatrics or intimidation, contributing to Indiana's overall structure and energy during a closely watched preseason contest that has since become a talking point across basketball discussions.